Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're really getting into the whole world of wealth creation, prosperity, plenty, all that good stuff.
That's right. And we're using Richard Templar's The Rules of Wealth as our guide. It's quite a comprehensive look.
Yeah, it seems like it. It breaks down principles, behaviors, things wealthy people apparently do.
Exactly. From mindset stuff, which is huge, right through to managing money. And even, how money impacts relationships.
Okay, so our mission today is pretty clear, I think. We want to unpack these rules.
Find the real gems, the actionable bits.
Yeah, and figure out what this source says really separates, well, the wealthy from the rest of us. And tailor it for you, the listener. Quick, thorough insight.
And, we might uncover some ideas that really make you stop and think. Some things that challenge those common beliefs about money and effort.
Like the very first rule, actually, Rule 1. It basically says anyone can be wealthy.
It's a bold claim right off the bat.
It is. It says it's not about luck, not your background.
No, the book is pretty emphatic. It argues it's about applying yourself, understanding principles, making deliberate choices, specific behaviors.
So the idea is that money itself doesn't care who you are.
Pretty much. Templar suggests it's neutral. Opportunities are there. The real block. Often it's us. Our own thinking, our what he calls money myths. We'll get into those.
Okay, so let's map out this journey then. How are we going to tackle this?
Well, following the book's structure seems sensible. Start with the mindset, the thinking behind it all.
Right, the foundation. Then move into the practical stuff, building, managing.
Exactly. Then maybe touch on keeping it and that tricky area of money and other people, friends, family.
Okay, sounds like a plan.
Uh-huh.
Think of this as your shortcut, listener, to the core ideas. Hopefully some aha moments without getting bogged down. Let's unpack this.
All right. So, starting with that mindset piece. Rule 5 hits hard straight away. It claims most people are just too lazy to be wealthy.
Wow, okay, that sounds harsh. Does he mean, like, literally lazy, not getting off the sofa?
Well, yes and no. It's blunt, for sure. But the book clarifies it's less about physical laziness and more about a lack of, let's say, sustained mental application towards the goal of wealth.
So people say they want it.
Right. But maybe they aren't willing to do the consistent thinking, the learning, the sacrificing, maybe the studying needed, making wealth a real focus.
Instead of just hoping for a lottery win, which he kind of dismisses.
Completely. He sees that as just wishful thinking, not a strategy. The point is, wealth demands active, focused effort, relentless pursuit almost, not just passively wishing.
Okay, that connects to another big one, Rule 8. This one really stuck with me. Understand that wealth is a consequence, not a reward.
Yes, this is absolutely central. The book drives this home. Money doesn't arrive because you're a nice person or you deserve it in some moral sense.
Simpler than that.
Much simpler, according to Templar. It's a direct result, a consequence of effort, smart thinking, providing value that the market wants.
So the harder and smarter you work in the right way,
the more likely you are to earn. It's framed as purely transactional, payment for results. It's not a cosmic reward system.
So the takeaway is stop thinking about deserving it and start thinking about earning it through smart work.
Precisely. Shift the focus entirely.
Okay, so if you accept that and you're ready to put in the effort, where do you actually start? Rule 20 seems key here.
Absolutely. Crucial starting point. You have to know where you stand financially right now.
Like Robinson Crusoe taking stock after the shipwreck, the book says.
Exactly that analogy. A full financial audit. What do you own? What do you owe? Income, outgoings, all of it.
You need the honest truth, basically. Good and bad.
You have to face it, because if you ignore your current reality, you can't possibly plan effectively. Problems just fester.
Right. And once you have that clear picture, that honest assessment, then Rule 21 kicks in. You need a plan.
Yep. The plan is your how. How do you get from point A, your current situation, to point B, your wealth objective?
Without a plan, you're just adrift.
Financially adrift, yes. Wasting money, missing chances. Templar uses a samurai analogy. Lots of preparation, clear plan, then swift action.
So your financial plan needs that kind of clarity and commitment.
That's the idea. Strategic thinking, then decisive execution.
And a huge part of executing that plan, according to Rule 22, is getting control. Stopping the leaks, as the book puts it.
I like that visual. Money leaking away.
Me too. So what are the leaks?
Could be lots of things. Paying too much tax unnecessarily, high interest payments definitely, or just money sitting idle, not invested.
But the big one he flags is dead interest.
Especially credit cards.
Oh, absolutely. He calls it one of the most damaging leaks. The interest rates are often crippling. His advice is often blunt. Cut up the cards, pay it off, fast.
Because the interest you're paying is likely way higher than any return you'd get saving.
Exactly. You're losing ground.
Yeah.
So step one in many plans is plug those leaks, stop the pointless strain.
Okay, makes sense. Now, talking about resources. Rule 10. This feels like a bedrock principle. Understand that money begets money. Yeah, the power of compounding. Templar argues the wealthy really get this, maybe intuitively.
And the core idea is you must set some money aside. For breeding purposes, as he puts it.
Right, that slightly dark rabbit farm analogy.
Yeah.
If you eat all the rabbits, you've got none left to make more rabbits. Same with money. You have to save some, invest some to generate returns, and only spend a portion.
That's how capital builds up.
That's the engine. Your capital starts working for you, earning more money over time. It's fundamental.
Okay, but then some rules seem to push back against typical saving advice, like Rule 35. Small economies won't make you wealthy, but they will make you miserable.
Yeah, this one challenges that extreme penny-pinching mindset.
So skipping your daily coffee isn't the path to riches.
Templar's point is, probably not. It saves a tiny amount, sure, but it likely won't change your overall financial future significantly. And crucially, it might just make you unhappy.
So don't sweat the small stuff so much.
Kind of. Focus on the big wins. Boosting income, stopping those major leaks like debt, making smart investments. Don't sacrifice small joys for tiny, insignificant savings. It's about perspective.
Right. And the book is also pretty tough on borrowing, isn't it? Especially from people you know. Rules 41 and 93.
Oh, very tough. The core message is just avoid borrowing if you possibly can.
And if you have to.
Think incredibly carefully. Borrowing nearly always costs you interest payments, the plus he talks about, that hobbles your finances.
And borrowing from friends or family adds another layer.
A huge layer. Emotional baggage. It can easily strain or even wreck relationships, even if it's interest-free. The pressure, the awkwardness.
So what's the alternative if family wants to help?
The source suggests maybe letting them invest in something you're doing with clear risks understood is often better than a straight loan. But the big insight is debt isn't just financial. It's often emotional, too.
Okay. Shifting focus a bit. Rule 16 talks about price versus value. Crucial difference.
Yes, this applies everywhere. Spending, investing, it's not just the price tag.
Like his example of the expensive wine in a restaurant.
Exactly. You're paying for the wine, sure, but also the nice setting, the service, the whole experience. That's part of its value in that context.
Or something could be cheap but have huge long-term value.
Right. So value isn't just the cost to buy it. It's what it's worth to others. Its future potential, the return it gives, or even the perceived value, which kind of leads into Rule 24.
Rule 24. This one's interesting. It suggests that looking wealthy can actually help you become wealthy.
Yeah, this can sound a bit superficial at first glance.
It does a little. Is it about buying flashy stuff you can't afford?
Not really, or at least not primarily. Templar frames it more around the image you project. Professionalism, confidence.
So dressing well, good grooming, being punctual, that stuff.
Exactly. Looking like you take yourself and your work seriously, it subtly influences how people perceive you, especially in business.
He makes a slightly odd comparison to apes reacting to presentation.
Yes. It's a bit provocative. But the idea is, looking capable and confident can make others see you as more reliable, more competent, someone they want to work with or give opportunities to.
So perception matters. How you present yourself can open doors.
That's the core insight. Presentation can influence opportunity.
Okay, so let's say you're applying these rules, you're starting to build some capital. What's next? Rule 49 says, build capital, then invest it wisely.
Right. The temptation with a lump sum, a bonus, maybe an inheritance, is often to spend it, right? Instant gratification.
Sure, a holiday, a new car.
The wealthy mindset, according to Templar, sees that extra cash differently. It's raw material, fuel to make more money.
So don't just spend the surplus.
No. The insight is you need to consciously move that surplus cash into things that can generate more income for you. Assets.
Like what? Shares, property, starting a side business.
Could be any of those. Shares for dividends, property for rent, business for profits. It's about turning earned income into working capital. It's a deliberate process.
And when you invest that capital, Rule 50 contrasts property and shares. What's the take there?
Well, Templar offers a view that might surprise some people, especially given how popular property is as an investment.
Okay.
While property is tangible, you can touch it, he argues that over the long haul, a diversified portfolio of shares is actually unlikely to be beaten by property overall returns.
Really? Why is that?
Shares represent ownership in companies, right? So they have huge growth potential as those companies grow. Plus, a portfolio spreads your risk much better than, say, one single house.
Interesting. So not anti-property, but perhaps pro-diversification with shares having an edge long term.
That seems to be the thrust. Understand the different risks, rewards, how easily you can sell them, the liquidity, and always remember, any investment can lose money. No guarantees.
We've covered a lot of ground here, from the mindset shifts needed.
Yeah, that core belief that anyone can do it with application.
To the practical steps, knowing where you are, having that plan, stopping the leaks.
Absolutely. And that fundamental idea of money begetting money through investment.
We also touched on some maybe counterintuitive points, like small savings not being the main goal.
Right, and the warnings about borrowing, especially from family.
The difference between price and value, and even how just looking the part can play a role.
It's a broad set of ideas.
But the book really hammers home one point, doesn't it? Rule 69. Knowing isn't enough.
Oh, absolutely. You have to do them. Knowledge is useless without action. It's all about application, practice, consistency, changing your actual behavior.
Which brings us neatly to what you called maybe the most profound rule earlier, Rule 19.
Yeah, I think it might be. It's harder to manage yourself than it is to manage your money.
Think about that. All these practical financial rules.
But woven throughout are rules about self-discipline, awareness, controlling impulses, staying consistent, managing you.
So the implication is the real challenge isn't the stock market or the economy. It's inside us.
It seems to be. Managing our habits, our fears, those money myths we carry around, our own internal stuff.
Okay, so let's leave our listeners with this final thought, building on that very idea.
All right. If the main barrier to building wealth isn't really about lack of opportunity or even lack of knowing these rules,
but it's actually about your own internal programming, your habits, things like maybe that laziness Templar mentioned, or difficulty facing the financial truth, or just inconsistent discipline,
then the provocative question for you, the listener, to really ponder is this. Of all the behavioral rules, the ones about managing yourself that we've touched on today, which specific one feels the most challenging for you to actually apply consistently?
And what does that particular challenge tell you about where you might need to focus first on your own path forward? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.